Hey everyone, Heather with Trouvaille Travel. I recently had my own destination wedding in Jamaica at Beaches Ocho Rios. If you are looking for some information on what it's like to have a destination wedding, what it's like to have a wedding through Sandals or Beaches, or more specifically what it's like to have a wedding at Beaches Ocho Rios, this one's for you. I plan to go over everything from the pre-planning to what it was like working with our wedding planner on the resort, and then obviously the wedding and reception. I do plan to go over both the good and the bad, and I plan for this to be pretty long and detailed, so let's get started because it's gonna be lengthy. When I started planning my wedding, I had no idea what I was doing. I'd never planned a wedding before, let alone a destination wedding, nor having a group of a bunch of people going with. So I reached out to a travel advisor to help. And quick shameless plug, I'll make this quick, I promise. I am a travel advisor. I now not only have experience with destination weddings planning, but also being the bride. So if you are looking for a travel advisor, head to my profile. I have a travel request form and I will reach out to you to get that planning started. I booked my stay about a year or so in advance. Once I booked, I did receive pretty quickly my marriage license from the resort to get all the paperwork filled out. Once I did get everything submitted to them, I did get an email confirmation from their Miami team that everything was squared away, we were good to go and move forward with the wedding. Shortly after booking, I was put in contact with the pre-wedding team for the resort. I think from time of booking until time of the wedding about a year later, I think there was 4 phone calls with this pre-wedding coordinator. So the pre-planner, the offsite planner, is the same for both Sandals and Beaches. So it doesn't matter if you're booking through Sandals or Beaches, it's gonna be the same team of people. So it is a very similar process regardless of which resort you're staying at, as long as it's a Sandals or Beaches. I thought that for the most part, the person that I spoke with did a good job. Once I got to the resort, my opinion changed a little bit, and I will get into that. If I recall correctly, she told me about all of the exclusions. We discussed how many people we were going to have, decor options, menu options, all of the things that we needed to know to have our wedding. She gave me venue options and a lot to think about. And I want to say we planned to meet again after about 3 months or so. And I did a lot of thinking to come up with the feel that we wanted for our wedding. And I knew that I mostly wanted a free wedding. I'm gonna stop here and go over what is included with the free Sandals and Beaches wedding. And this is current as of the making of this video, and this is for both Sandals and Beaches. So if you stay 3 nights or longer at a Sandals or Beaches resort, you qualify for the free wedding. Here's what's included. So before you arrive, you get the use of the wedding team, preparation of your marriage documents, wedding gift registry, which I didn't use, so I can't really speak to that, a wedding website, which I also didn't use, so I can't really speak to that personally either. And then for the ceremony, you get a venue. So some venues do charge, but all resorts have some free options. You get a bouquet and a boutonniere. Also for the ceremony, you get white chairs for guests, pre-recorded music, and a complimentary 5x7 wedding photo. And our officiant was also included. For the reception, you get a 2-tiered wedding cake, table settings with white linen, silverware, and crystal, chairs, a centerpiece for the head table, a cocktail reception with sparkling wine and hors d'oeuvres that you get to pick from a list, and a signature cocktail that you can pick from. We personally don't drink, so we didn't pick one of the drinks, and we didn't like the mocktail option, so we just chose to forego the signature cocktail. It's your wedding, you can do what you want. For your honeymoon, you can get breakfast in bed with a mimosa on the morning of your choice. You get a romantic turn down the night of your wedding. You also get a honeymoon dinner. You also can get, during your stay, 15% off of select spa services. So we both got massages and they were amazing. And then the longer that you stay and the more people that you bring, you do qualify for some additional perks as well. You can check those out on the Sandals or Beaches website. So back to the pre-wedding planning. Like I said, I think I spoke with her 4 times. The last time was about 45 days or so before the wedding, a little bit before then because we had to have our final payments in then, and she said that everything needed to be decided by then. On the last call with her, I said, like, can we still add a DJ? I think we want a DJ. And then we gave her the choice for our foods. We picked our bells and whistles because we had more people that decided to book. And she had asked me which bells and whistles I wanted a few times, even though I already gave them to her. So that was concerning, but that was the only concern that I had. I'd heard a lot of really bad things about the pre-wedding team, and that was my only concern, was that she had asked a few times for a couple of different things. Once I got to the resort, I felt it a little bit more, and again, I will get into that. That was basically all of the pre-planning. I'm gonna touch very shortly on packing. So obviously we had to get like husband's outfit, my dress, our kids' outfits. There was 4 of us, husband, myself, and our 2 boys. So with that, we have 4 carry-on suitcases and 4 backpacks. Our little guy was still in diapers, so we had to have diapers for a week and swim diapers for a week. And I will say I managed to get all of that stuff, the few things that we brought for the wedding, our outfits, and all of the regular vacation stuff, in carry-on suitcases. It's possible. My dress wasn't huge. It wasn't big and poofy. And I kind of wadded it into a ball. The person who did my alterations on my dress said that with the material it was, it shouldn't wrinkle and it shouldn't ruin it if I did that. So I crammed it in there. And we made it with carry-on only. I was very scared of having my luggage get lost. So I wanted to make sure that we did carry-on only, and it worked out totally fine for us. Also, another note, because we are talking about weddings, I found my wedding dress on a website called Still White. I am not at all affiliated with them, but I loved it, and I hadn't heard of them until I started planning my own wedding. People can go on there, they can list their dresses. The one that I got was brand new with tags. I probably saved over $1,000 off of it. It was $700 or $800, I think. Doesn't hurt to check it out if you want to save money on a dress or are environmentally conscious, which I didn't want to spend thousands of dollars on a dress that I'm gonna wear for a couple of hours and wear it on the beach and get it gross. So that's the option I went. Okay, so fast forward again, now we're at the resort. We get checked in, the people are immediately congratulating us, and then we get to our room and we have some goodies in our room. Okay, so in our room we had these bride and groom necklace shot glasses. We didn't actually use them, if you can tell from the packages still. We also had a letter from our wedding planner, our on-site wedding planner. We had Natalie. We also had some honeymoon breakfast and dinner cards for us to fill out. And then we also had an iPad so we could go over more decor. So we arrived on Sunday. Our letter told us that we were meeting with our wedding planner on Monday at 11. And then our wedding was on Tuesday at 4. So Monday morning rolls around and we go, my husband and I go to the lobby to meet with our wedding planner. I tell the front desk like that's what we're waiting for. And they said, who's your wedding planner that you're waiting for? I of course read this letter, didn't read at the bottom that it said who it was from. So I said, I think you're meeting with Natalie, but be sure that you read this letter in its entirety and see who signs it, because I didn't, and I didn't know, and that was a little embarrassing. We also brought the iPad with us, and we brought the food choice cards with us that we had filled out with the choices that we wanted to meet with her. As soon as we met with her, she grabbed those things from us, and then she started touring us around the resort. So I will cut and insert some footage from our stay with some pictures of options that you can have. Here's the piano bar. So this was one venue. I saw a couple people do receptions here. We're here, and that is at the end of the pier. Like I said, that's where we did our honeymoon dinner. That's also where we did our wedding. So we had our wedding down there. They had a bunch of chairs set up there for us. So this is where we had our reception. We saw a few weddings in this garden area, and they were beautiful with all of the decor and everything that the couple had set up over here. This is a spot where you can do weddings. We actually contemplated doing it here until we saw the pier in person. When our wedding planner walked us around, this is another example of where you can get married, and they said that they would have just put some chairs out here in the lawn. So this is the Venetian Terrace. So we saw all the different options that we had for where we could have our wedding and our reception. I will say, I fully planned on doing both at the beach, and as we were going through different locations, changed our minds. So as we were walking around, we initially thought we were gonna do the beach. We ended up really liking the fountain. I thought that was gonna be my least favorite of all of them, but we really liked that one. And then we kept going around to different places and we ended at the gazebo, which was an extra charge. So we chose the gazebo for the wedding, and then we chose the beach for the reception. Once we had those picked, we went back to Natalie's office in the wedding department and continued our discussion there. I had told my husband that we were getting mostly a free wedding. And so when we were in there, she was showing us all the decor and all of the different options we had, and he assumed that all of these things were free. I was sitting there saying, how much is this centerpiece? How much is that thing? How much is that thing? And she was telling me, and he ended up getting us upcharged a lot, but it was fine. Everything was beautiful. I wouldn't have changed anything. I'm glad that he did that. But just tell your husband in advance if that's something you're concerned about, that if he agrees to things that you will be upcharged on them. When we met with her, she also went over everything that we had sent to the pre-wedding planner. And she said, I noticed you didn't pick out all of your bells and whistles. I noticed that you didn't pick out your songs for the DJ. And I noticed that you didn't pick out the food for your guests. So we need to solidify that. And I said, I definitely sent all of these things, this file, over to her. And she checked her email and didn't have it. So this was the point where I'm like, I guess the pre-wedding planner wasn't all that great. I spent all of this time talking to her, and then she didn't relay it to the wedding team. So that was kind of disappointing. But I kind of worried that we weren't gonna get what I had wanted and what I had said. Because when I said the tiki torches, she kind of made it seem like, oh, I don't know that I can get those the day before, but she did. Natalie took care of everything and was amazing. I sent her the email with the form that I had sent to the pre-wedding planner, and she got everything taken care of for me. The on-site people are amazing. I promise you, even if you have issues with the pre-planners, your wedding day will be amazing. They take care of everything. So for the extra things that were chosen in the room, we picked extra centerpieces, we picked like table runners. We added on an hour for the DJ. I wasn't planning on having it during the cocktail hour. She kind of changed our mind and said, like, your guests will probably want something in the background. So we did that. And based on the events that happened at the reception, which I will get to soon, I am so thankful that we had that, because it helped us know that something was wrong. We also had chosen at this point to have a strand of light for the beach. Otherwise it would have been really dark, so I'm glad that we did that. Natalie also told us for the gazebo that we picked that we should get the fabrics for the gazebo. And I said, no, I don't think that's needed. I don't want to add that. She was like, oh, well, you really should have it. And she threw that in for us for free. I can't promise you that that'll happen, but just know that there is wiggle room, I'll say, at the site. And I've heard that from a lot of people. Keep that in mind as you're going through the wedding planning process. After solidifying all of that, we got to the fun part, which was cake tasting. And I was super looking forward to this, and I forgot about it. We got into that room, she's like, time for cake tasting. And I was like, how could I forget? I think she also brought champagne. Again, we don't drink, so she brought us in waters, but there'll be a little beverage for you if you like that. So the choices that you get, vanilla, chocolate, fruitcake, red velvet, brownie, and carrot for the cake itself. And then for the filling flavors, you get coconut, strawberry, pina colada, vanilla, Irish cream, coffee, and chocolate. And it was a really hard choice. I think we ended up going with brownie and Irish cream for one layer, and then carrot and coffee, which sounds weird, but it was so good, for the other layer. And so you can choose, if you get that 2-tiered included cake, you can choose different flavors for both. Okay, now the part that most people have probably been waiting for. Let's get into wedding day. So wedding day, having a destination wedding, I don't know what it's like not having a destination wedding because this is my only marriage that I intend to have in my whole life. We woke up, we watched the sunrise over the ocean, went to get a buffet breakfast with our family, and then somebody said that they wanted to go on a glass bottom boat. Oh, I think there was 11 of us that ended up, we weren't pre-booked for this, but we all ended up going at like 9 o'clock in the morning on our wedding day. What a great way to start your wedding day. Like, it was so fun. We got off of that, and then I realized like I need to eat something. I'm not hungry, but by the time I get my hair done, and between the time I get my hair done and dinner, if I don't eat, like I'm gonna be starving. So we grabbed a bite to eat, took that back to our room. At noon, I went to get my hair and makeup done. Again, our wedding time was at 4. So at noon, hair and makeup. And I will say I was nervous. I had heard very mixed reviews about getting your hair and makeup done at the spa, but I thought she did a phenomenal job. I felt so beautiful. Like, I have no complaints about the spa. It was a little less than 2 hours by the time that I got both of those done. At this point, I was a little earlier than I expected, so I called my husband and said, hey, are you out of our room? And he said yes. So him and our 2 boys grabbed their things and went to his parents' room to get ready. The photographer met them there, I think at 2:30. And then I went back to our room and I just awkwardly like paced because, you know, I'm nervous. I had nothing to do. My parents met me in my room at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock is also when the photographer met in my room to get some like getting ready pictures and to get pictures of me with my mom and with my dad, and then just me solo also. From the room, I could hear music playing from where I could kind of see where the wedding venue was from our room. They had told my husband, or asked him rather, if he wanted to play music for our guests. The guests got down there at 3 o'clock. He didn't have music prepared. We didn't know that we needed music prepared, so he just went on YouTube and looked up wedding songs and had a playlist going on in the background. So keep in mind, you might want to do that. I don't know if that's something standard that they ask, but to have music playing in the background. At about 3:45, Natalie meets me in our room. She takes, I had a sign for my son, and I think I may have had the rings. I don't remember who had the rings. Somebody had the rings. And I also had our cake topper. So she grabs those from me. She gives me the flowers. So my dad was with me from my room, and then our 2 boys met me by where we were going to go down the aisle. So for the wedding itself, they did have a speaker. My husband's phone was hooked up to the speaker, so we had a few songs picked out. Both my boys and I walked down to I Get to Love You by Trouvaille. My oldest son, who was 11 for our wedding, walked down with the rings, followed by my youngest son. And hold on. He had a sign that says, "Daddy, here comes Mommy." And when he first started walking, I saw that the sign was backwards facing him, so nobody could see what it said. And my very type A self almost ran after him and fixed it, but I was like, nope, you gotta let some things go. It's fine. I didn't even say anything. Natalie saw that, and she like flipped it for me and then told him, because there's a lot of people staring at him, he didn't know what to do. And she like told him where to go and made sure that he like walked down and gave his sobbing dad a hug and then sat down. So they take care of everything at the resort, I promise you. Then it was my turn to come down, and my husband was already sobbing from seeing my son and hearing the songs. And so he is crying a lot at this point, I thought. And I'm just cheesing, like I'm so happy that he's being emotional because normally he's not. So I get down to the end. We're obviously together, and I am now like laser focused in on him. The rest of the world doesn't matter. Our officiant, she was a local Jamaican officiant, said a bunch of words. I don't remember everything that she said. I remember it was very touching and I really liked it. She had us say the regular like in sickness and in health vows, and we also chose to write our own. I wish I would have known those vows are also included, and that she had us say those, because I included some of those things in my vows, kind of a duplicate. Also, the one thing that I didn't like that she said was if anybody has any lawful reason that they shouldn't be like speaking out forever, hold your peace. Nobody said anything. Nobody would have said anything, but like that's uncomfortable. So if I had known that, I would have asked not to say that. And because she said like for a lawful reason, I don't know if that's a requirement in Jamaica or not. Like, I don't know. But heads up, that is something that is said or was said at our wedding at least. Once we got done with that portion, it was time to sign the wedding documents. I didn't know, or at least didn't realize going into it, that we needed witnesses. So keep in mind, like, pick out your people. We picked during our wedding planning session with Natalie. She said, oh, hey, who's gonna be your witnesses? So we picked and then told our people at the very last second, like, hey, you have to sign papers for us. For this part, all of a sudden there's a table and chairs, and I don't even remember them bringing them. Like, they were very fast bringing these. So we had a song. We picked a song for that too. I picked I Do by Aloe Black. We signed, and then our witnesses signed. After signing, we wrapped up quickly and walked out to the song Happy. Once we were all out, they actually, I didn't know that they were gonna do this. They gave us all cold towels, and I believe we got some waters also, which was unexpected and awesome. I'm sorry I'm giving you away all of these secret things that happen, but you're watching this because you wanna know what your wedding will be like. So that was very nice and refreshing. Once we were done with those, we started taking pictures near where the ceremony structure was. So we said, like, hey, we want these people, we want these groups, and pictures like you would normally do at a wedding. One thing that I repeatedly specifically asked for, I really wanted pictures of the two of us and our two kids. And at both the wedding and at the reception, that didn't happen. But that's like, and I wish we would have gotten this because I specifically asked for it and it didn't happen. So then everybody goes to the cocktail hour. My husband and I go around to do pictures. We hired a local photographer. She lives in Jamaica, and it is $1,000 as of the making of this video if you want to bring an outside vendor to the resort. That doesn't include any of her costs or the cost for her photos. Just to get somebody off resort to the resort is $1,000. I knew that. I had seen her pictures and loved them. It was very worth it to me, and our pictures turned out amazing. She told me that our wedding was the last wedding in Ocho Rios that she was gonna do. She lives in Montego Bay, so that's a bit of a drive. But if you're doing a wedding in Ocho Rios or Negril, it wouldn't hurt to ask. The worst you could say is no. But if you're doing one in Montego Bay, PhotoMagic Memories, her pictures are amazing. So just know that you are not limited to only the resort photographers, but there is that extra fee if you do want somebody outside the resort. At the cocktail hour where everybody else was, they had the hors d'oeuvres that we picked, and then they also had like a little bar with a bartender just for us specifically, for the guests that wanted that, and that remained there through the reception. We made our way around the resort doing our pictures. We went to a few different locations. Here's where things started to turn a bit. So we made it to the pier and we're walking back from the pier, and all of a sudden the DJ music stops, which is why I said I'm very glad that I had the DJ, that we added that during the cocktail hour. So DJ stops, which gets our attention, and I look over because we could see where the cocktail hour was, and somebody is on the ground and everybody is surrounding them. So I'm doing a quick, where are my children check, and my husband is also scanning, and he says, hey, it's this person, which was one of my family members. I look at him and I say, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend to continue walking and smiling and holding your hand down this pier while I'm worried if he's okay. Are you okay if we stop? And he said, absolutely. So we told the photographer, like, something's happening, I don't know what it is, I wanna go check and make sure that everything's okay. In editing my video, I realized that I made story time way too long. Long story short, one of my family members ended up fainting not once but twice. He had heat stroke. He ended up going to a Jamaican hospital via ambulance. So 4 people went to the nurse. 1 of them ended up coming back. 3 of them then went to the emergency room. One of our other guests is an EMT back home in America, so he did CPR, and they also had a little baby. So I'm sure it was a mix of adrenaline and having a cranky baby. So 3 of them went back to their room also. So our party quickly went from 18 down to 11. We were concerned and didn't know how to proceed with the reception. Again, long story short, the handling of Beaches was incredible. Sandals jumped in as well and helped because the person who was sick was staying at Sandals. Let's get back to it. I include this story for multiple reasons. 1, obviously this is the story of my wedding. 2, please, 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 if you are traveling internationally, get travel insurance. Obviously something like that is very unexpected, and a lot of American health insurance do not cover anything that's not in America. So please, 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 always get travel insurance when you're traveling internationally. And 3, this is your wedding. Like, just know that anything can happen. Obviously the people that are there, especially for a destination wedding, are close to you and love you, so keep in mind, not everything goes as planned. Jumping back to the reception, Natalie was really good at reading the room. She kept checking in on us. She wasn't doing it too often. She wasn't doing it too infrequently that a ton of time passed. She genuinely was amazing. Once we eventually decided, like, okay, we're okay continuing with this, she asked, do you still want to do your entrance songs? And I said, no, like, we're already here, and that I just didn't feel like it would be appropriate. We were going to have our 2 kids come into the song I Can Make Your Hands Clap, and then my husband and I were gonna come into the song All I Do Is Win by DJ Khaled. So we skipped that. The topic of food was brought up, so we said, like, yes, let's proceed with food. None of us really had an appetite, so one of the people who went to the nurse did come back, so there was food for him, but we initially had more plates. So I asked the resort, like, can you guys eat these? Can you take them home to your families? What should we do with them? And they assured us that they would give them to, like, the DJ, our photographer. Food got eaten. And then the 3 that went back to their room, they took the plates to their room, which was really nice. Something else about food, we have 3 kids that are very picky eaters. And the resort, like, the day that I met with Natalie, they coordinated for them to have, like, chicken strips and fries and grilled cheese. So they didn't go without eating, which was something that I was concerned about. I had planned on, like, leaving and getting my kid food, but they did it for me. After we were done eating, I think the next thing that we did the cake tasting and toasts next. So again, we don't drink. They brought us, like, non-alcoholic champagne to toast with, and they did a really cute toast for us. And then we did the cake cutting. What the resort did is they had, like, I put a piece of cake in his mouth, or like a bite, and then I, like, took it from him, and then he did the same for me and took it from me, which was, like, a cute thing that they did for that. After cake cutting, they gave us cake and dessert. So if you're worried about people not being able to get enough to eat, there's the hors d'oeuvres, and then you have, like, a salad or soup, I think it was, and then you have, like, your main thing, and you have dessert and cake, and I think there was something else. Like, there is so much food, so if your guests will not be hungry. Cocktail hour is included with the free wedding. The food is $14 per plate. After we had cake, we did do some of the dances. So my husband and I, we chose to dance to the song Yours by Russell Dickerson. He actually picked that out. And then my dad and I did the song I Loved Her First. And then his mom and him did My Wish by Rascal Flatts. We didn't have to have these ones downloaded on anybody's phone because we had the DJ. The DJ queued them up, played them on the speaker, and we were all good to go with that. I think the DJ was $700 for 3 hours. I recommend having the DJ. Something else that I was worried about with the DJ, I didn't know what songs he was planning on playing. I didn't come in with, like, here's a set list, but he played, like, good, upbeat, current songs. So if that's something that you're worried about, like, our DJ did an awesome job. Had everybody been in a mood to dance, we probably would have danced to some of the songs that he played. Also, I did plan to do an anniversary dance, changed our mind after there was not many people there and everything that happened. So that is something else that you can do. I had chosen the song Growing Old With You by Restless Road. In case you're looking for song ideas, I keep throwing out what we picked. So I kept telling everybody for weeks that there's gonna be a super secret surprise during our wedding reception, and I didn't tell anybody what it was. So we had a fire dancer. If you are on the fence at all about getting a fire dancer, I say go for it. They involved my husband, they involved my oldest son, they tried to involve my youngest, but he was scared, so he ended up handing me the thing with a flame on it. So it was actually interactive for all of us also. My family member that ended up going to the hospital, I spoke with him the next morning, and he asked to, like, you kept alluding to this secret thing. What was the secret thing? And I said that we had a fire dancer. He's like, are you kidding me? I'm so jealous. So, like, even he wasn't there and wished that he could have gone. So I strongly recommend, like, everybody was like, that was really cool. That was a good surprise. So if you're thinking about it, do it. Stop thinking, do it. Something that I forgot to say, Natalie worked up these little invitation things for us that said, the location of where we were getting married and where the reception was. So we handed these out to our guests the day before and the day of the wedding. That way they knew where to go. And obviously we changed it at the last minute. So I thought that that was a really nice touch that they were able to do that for us. When we got back to our room that night, we had like little notes. We had like a gift bag, and our bed was done up with rose petals. They turned it down for us. They had some animals on there, which was a really sweet touch. Something else that I will say that I didn't love about it, they had our cake, the top of the cake, in the room when we got back. It did not fit in our fridge. My wish is that they would have frozen it and given it to us the day that we left. So we got married on Tuesday and we didn't leave till Sunday. I honestly could have asked, but I didn't. So it sat out for almost a week, and then we took it home and froze it, and we're still gonna eat it on our 1-year anniversary. It's not gonna be good. We might get sick, but like, we're still gonna eat it, but I wish that they would have frozen it, or that I would have just asked them to do that for us, because I'm sure they would have. But it is what it is at this point. So fast forward to the next morning. So during the on-site meeting that I had spoken about before, we picked out what we wanted and when we wanted our breakfast. So they brought us our breakfast in bed. We took it out on our balcony, and we got some extra things so our kids were able to have like croissants and fruit. This resort does not normally have room service, so it was a nice thing to get that. While we were here, it was also my birthday. So I chose to do our honeymoon dinner on the same day as my birthday. And they had it like super cute set up for us. They had our names, and it said Mr. and Mrs. with our last name, with a printout of what we had picked for food. And we were like on the edge of the pier, so we got to pick when and where we wanted that. Throughout the rest of our stay, people that I didn't even know, or at least I didn't know that I know, but people that knew me at the resort were coming up to us and saying like, hey, how's family member doing? So I thought that it was really nice that everybody was still checking in. Like, the level of service there was top notch. Yes, this resort is dated. If you look at reviews for Beaches Ocho Rios, it is a dated resort. I have never gotten this level of service anywhere else though. Not a single person commented on, hey, this pool is missing a tile, but every single person, minus the ones 3 years and younger, including my 11-year-old, we're talking about how phenomenal the customer service was and the service in general was at this resort. So if you're thinking about having a wedding at Beaches or Sandals, based on my experience, 10 out of 10, I would strongly recommend doing it there. If you are looking for a travel advisor, again, I am one, so please head to the link in my bio. It will be me that you're working with. I'll reach out to you, we'll do the initial consult, we'll confirm where you're gonna be staying, and then I will work with you through the whole process when you're there, when you come back. Obviously, if anything unexpected happens like it did for me, I will still be there for you the whole time. Also, I visited a few more resorts in different countries, and then we plan to go to more in the future. So be sure to hit that follow button if you are interested in other travel things. I do have a whole bunch more things planned for Jamaica and for the other places that I stayed as well.